Every new piece of work is an opportunity to create something different from your previous work. Hi, I'm Robbie Trevino. I'm a concept artist, illustrator based in Seattle, Washington. I specialize in surreal sci-fi, environmental, and creature design. I have a lot of experience in film and games. I've been doing this for about a decade. Some of my clients would include like LucasFilm, Wizards of the Coast, Netflix, Crunchyroll, Xbox, Valve, bands like Tool, musicians like deadmau5. I've gotten the chance to work on a lot of interesting things over the years. Overall, it's been a positive and life-changing experience with NFTs. Technological and mechanical opportunity aside, NFTs as an ecosystem and market has provided many artists with opportunities, financial runway specifically, and financial independence, to basically focus on the creation of meaningful content. It's an opportunity in a lot of ways that artists didn't have prior to work with people and not for them. So I dove into the 10th chapter, which is Dreaming of Plentitude. The eradication and elimination of jobs resulting in humans lacking purpose really resonated with me as a concept. It's a question I personally have pondered for many years. What would humans do if they were truly left to their own devices? So yeah, that particular concept is what inspired this piece I created for the series. Essentially it focuses around a giant metallic metal head. And it's made of a structure that's, it's basically impenetrable. It's a material that's indestructible almost, right? And the structure is breaking into smaller pieces, revealing a tiny, warm, vulnerable human central figure contained within. In a lot of ways, my thinking there was, you're peeling apart the societal layers. We think of them as like unchangeable and forged in steel and devoid of life, but when you tear those layers apart, you find people's true humanity. Essentially, this process of deconstruction societally, I imagine humans would be filled with uncertainty. So essentially, like, my thinking is like, you've got a bunch of puzzle pieces that represents those things, and that's kind of it manifested itself conceptually as like one image. The story is named, Dreaming of Plentitude. And when I think of plentitude, I think of plenty of provisions. I think of resources. So my initial thought was to focus around hands, almost like outstretching in like a caring, welcoming, warming way. But the more I thought about actually to go through that and experience that as a human, the more I thought, of the emotions. And to me, that told a bigger statement. As humans, we look for faces. That's just our human nature. We were always scanning for life. So the idea of a giant head, sort of interacting with a small figure in some way. And I just thought that idea, would be more profound as a statement. I would consider this piece a continuation, specifically of a book project I've been working on for about 6 years called Numinous. Numinous, is very much a story about myself, but it's told through the eyes and the experiences of someone else, another protagonist. I think a lot of artists are always putting themselves in their own work. And in my mind, similarly, because the story that inspired the piece most for me out of this series was, I saw myself potentially in that situation. I just really related to the whole concept on a personal level. So since I feel like I'm always kind of creating work that on some level is about myself, I felt like this too was that in a removed way, a continuation of that body of work. So I'd say my visual style comes mostly from a specific moment in time, roughly 6-ish years ago, where I was so creatively unfulfilled. Those were very fruitful ventures, but really at the end of the day, it wasn't the work I had originally set out to do when I originally decided to become a working artist. So I decided to sort of push back against the trends, do the thing that most artists weren't doing, which was create a body of work that I just enjoyed, that I knew probably wasn't going to get me hired anymore, but at least I'd enjoy doing the work. And funny enough, the companies, the people that follow me, anyone who knew about my work or was interested in my work, they became interested in it far more than anything else I had done. And then slowly but surely, I just kind of built that brand, that particular look, that body of work that I'm known for now. The actual tools that I use, it's primarily Photoshop paired with a Wacom 22 HD Cintiq, which really what I enjoy the most, other than the actual mechanical process, is every new piece of artwork. It's essentially a new challenge. And I always try. I know a lot of artists have a tendency, whether it's a style or a particular subject matter, that they gravitate towards. I know a lot of artists, they tend to sort of work in a specific comfort zone. And that a lot of times I always try to move away from doing something that I've done before, from my tendencies. I primarily rely on my traditional drawing and painting background. I just use digital tools now, and I sort of translate those skills over from the traditional to the digital. But no AI at the moment, though I'm very open to the idea of integrating it into a particular body of work. It's interesting you bring that up, because a lot of my favorite artists who were once traditional are now doing NFT work, or they weren't known as an NFT artist, but now they kind of are. I would say some of the biggest influences off the top of my head would be James Jean, Sid Mead, Sergio Topi, Moebius. A lot of these artists, they were very, very prolific and very revolutionary for their time. Recently, I had the privilege of working on Star Wars with LucasFilm, which is incredibly exciting. And that's something, when I'm able to show the work I've done for them, it'll be fantastic. But, a lot of what I've done, it's been primarily artwork and projects that exist within TV and film or some sort of print media. What I haven't done a lot of is I haven't gotten the chance to touch anything that's really physically built and functions within the real world, like, say, wearable apparel, whether it's fashion or streetwear. Automobiles, cars is another huge influence for me personally. Coming from Detroit, I mean, everything is sort of art. When you think about it, it was designed with intent and function and beauty.